Jun Kim stared at the empty bedroom. His hands shook. His 17-year-old daughter Sumi was gone. "Sumi?" he called again, his voice echoing through their small apartment in Seoul. No answer came back. Jun checked his phone again. No messages, no calls. This was not like Sumi at all. She always told him where she was going. Always. He walked to the kitchen and saw breakfast dishes still in the sink. Sumi's school bag sat by the door, but her jacket was gone. It made no sense. Today was a big day at the lab. Sumi wouldn't miss it. She loved working with her father on his space engine. Jun was not an ordinary dad. He was one of Korea's top aerospace engineers. For 3 years, he had been working on a new kind of engine, an engine that could take humans to the stars faster than ever before. Sumi was smart like her father. Even though she was still in high school, she helped him with his work. Since Jun's wife died 5 years ago, it had been just the two of them. They were a team. They took care of each other. Jun called Sumi's friends. No one had seen her. He called her school. She never arrived for classes. Fear grew in his chest, like a cold hand squeezing his heart. He went to the police. They took his report but didn't seem worried. "Teenagers run away sometimes," the officer said with a shrug. "Give it a day or two, she'll come back when she gets hungry." Jun knew better. Sumi would never run away. Something was wrong. He went back home and checked the security cameras outside their apartment building. At 7:15 that morning, he saw Sumi leaving for school. 3 people in dark clothes approached her. They talked, then they all walked away together. The camera feed cut off suddenly after that. Jun rushed to his lab at the Korea Aerospace Research Institute. Maybe Sumi had gone there instead of school. But the lab was empty. Worse, when he checked his computer, he found files missing. Important files. His newest engine designs were gone. Cold fear turned to hot anger. Someone had taken his daughter. Someone had taken his work. The two had to be connected. For weeks, Jun barely slept. He went to the police every day. They did nothing useful. He put up posters all over the city. He begged on TV for Sumi's return. No one came forward with information. 1 month after Sumi disappeared, Jun found something strange. While checking his email, he noticed a message that had been marked as spam. It contained only a star map with 3 systems highlighted, and one word: collectors. Was it a clue? A ransom demand? A joke? Jun didn't know, but it was all he had. He took the star map to his boss at the institute. "These are real star systems," his boss confirmed, looking troubled. "But they're very far away. Hundreds of light years. Why are you asking about them?" Jun didn't explain. A crazy idea was forming in his mind. That night, he broke into his own lab. The security guard knew him well and didn't question why he was there so late. Jun went straight to the hidden safe behind a panel in the wall. Inside was his backup drive, the one no one knew about. It contained all his research, including the breakthrough designs that had been stolen. For the next 6 months, Jun worked in secret. He built a small ship in an abandoned warehouse outside the city. He used parts he ordered from different companies so no one would notice what he was making. He spent all his savings. He sold his apartment. Nothing mattered except finding Sumi. The ship was tiny, just big enough for one person. Jun called it Sumi's Light. The engine was his greatest creation, a drive that could bend space itself, allowing the ship to travel faster than light. In theory, it would work, but no one had ever tested it. Jun didn't care about the risk. If his daughter was out there, among the stars, he would find her. On a dark night with no moon, Jun took his ship to a remote field. He had left letters for his boss and for the police explaining what he was doing and why. They would think he was crazy. Maybe he was. As he prepared for launch, he looked at the picture of Sumi taped to the control panel. Her smiling face gave him courage. "I'm coming for you," he whispered. The engine hummed to life. Light bent around the ship. The stars seemed to stretch and twist in his view screen. Then, with a flash that no Earth sensors detected, June Kim and Sumi's light vanished from Earth. The journey was rough. June was sick for days as his body adjusted to faster-than-light travel. The ship's computer kept him on course while he recovered. When he finally could sit up and check the instruments, he was amazed. His engine had worked better than he had hoped. He was already approaching the first system on the star map. The ship's sensors showed him a solar system with 7 planets. 2 of them had signs of advanced civilization. There were artificial structures in orbit, ships moving between planets, radio signals that his computer couldn't translate. June activated the ship's stealth system, another of his inventions. It bent light around the vessel, making it nearly invisible. Then he moved closer to the second planet, where most of the activity seemed to be happening. As he approached, he intercepted a data transmission between 2 larger ships. His computer worked to translate it. After an hour, words began to appear on his screen. Human female specimen. Transfer complete. Research facility. Payment received from... June's heart raced. A human female? Could it be Sumi? The transmission didn't say more, but it was the first real hope he'd had in months. He needed more information. The ship's sensors detected what looked like a central database facility in orbit around the planet. If he could hack into it, maybe he could find records about Sumi. But as he moved closer, alarms blared in his ship. 3 large vessels were approaching fast. They had detected him despite his stealth technology. A voice came through his communication system. The language was strange, but his computer translated. Unknown vessel, you have entered Larai space, illegally. Power down and prepare to be boarded. June's hands tightened on the controls. He had come too far to be stopped now. If these aliens had his daughter, he would make them tell him where she was. If they didn't know, maybe they could help him find the collectors. Either way, he wasn't giving up. He wasn't turning back. I am June Kim of Earth, he replied, not knowing if they could understand him. I've come for my daughter, and I'm not leaving without her. He pushed the engine to full power. The ship responded instantly, darting away from the approaching vessels with a burst of speed that shocked even him. The game of cat and mouse had begun. June didn't know it yet, but this small act of defiance was the first step in what would become a legend across 3 star systems. The story of an Earth dad who would accidentally become a conqueror, all for the love of his daughter. The journey to the mech system took June 3 days. He spent the time studying the information Kyo had given him. The more he learned, the more worried he became. Admiral Tay ruled 12 planets with an iron fist. His warships were everywhere. His soldiers were on every street. The people of the mech system lived in fear. Most important to June, Tay controlled the only stable wormhole in this part of space. This wormhole led to the Vosh system, where the collectors were based. If Sumi had been taken to Vosh, June would need to pass through Tai's territory. When Sumi's light entered the mech system, June kept the ship hidden using Kyo's device. He slipped past the border patrols easily. Then he headed for Mech Prime, the main planet where Tai had his palace. June was careful. He kept his ship in orbit, far from the planet's sensors. He used his computer to tap into local communications. For 2 days, he listened and learned. He learned that Tai's soldiers took half of everything the people made or grew. He learned that anyone who spoke against Tai disappeared in the night. He learned that Tai made deals with the collectors, giving them rare minerals in exchange for weapons that no other ruler in this part of space had. On the 3rd day, June picked up something new, encrypted messages about a rebel base on Meki 4, the 4th planet in the system. People were fighting back against Tai, but they were losing badly. This could be useful, June thought. Rebels would know the system well. They might help him get through the wormhole to find Sumi. June set course for Mech 4. The planet was mostly jungle, easy to hide in. He landed Sumi's light in a remote area and covered it with branches to hide it from above. For 2 days, June hiked through the thick jungle. The air was hot and wet. Strange animals called from the trees. Bugs bit him constantly. But June didn't stop. The rebel communication had mentioned a camp near a waterfall. On the morning of the third day, June found the waterfall. It was huge, water crashing down from a cliff 300 meters high. As he approached, he heard a noise behind him. "Don't move," a voice said in the trade language Kyo had taught him. "Hands up." June raised his hands slowly. "I'm not here to fight," he said. "I'm looking for the rebels." "Why?" the voice asked. "I need help getting through the wormhole to Vosh. I'm looking for my daughter." There was a pause. Then a woman stepped out from behind a tree. She was tall and thin with dark hair pulled back tightly. She held a weapon pointed at June's chest. "No one goes through the wormhole unless Tay says so," she said. "And no one comes looking for the rebels unless they're a spy." "I'm not a spy," June said. "I'm from Earth. My name is June Kim. My daughter was taken by the collectors." The woman's eyes widened slightly. "Earth? That's very far away." "Yes, and I've come all this way to find her. Please, I just need information." The woman studied him for a long moment. Then she lowered her weapon. "I am Jisoo, leader of the Free Mech movement. Come with me, Earthman. But know that if you try anything, my people will kill you." June followed Jisoo through the jungle to a hidden camp. It was small, maybe 50 people living in simple shelters. They had few weapons. They looked thin and tired. In Jisoo's tent, June explained his story. He told her about Earth, about Sumi being taken, about his journey through the Lurai system. Jisoo listened without speaking. When he finished, she shook her head. "Your story is hard to believe. But there have been rumors. Traders from Lurai speak of an Earthman who ended their civil war with one small ship." "That was not my goal," June said. "I just want to find my daughter." "And now you want to go through the wormhole," Jisoo said. "Impossible. Tay has 20 warships guarding it at all times. Your one small ship would be destroyed instantly," June thought for a moment. "What if I helped you first?" he asked. "What if we weakened Tay's control of this system?" Jisoo laughed bitterly. "We've been fighting Tay for 5 years. We are too few. His forces are too many. Look around you, Earthman. This is not an army. This is the last free people of Mech, hiding in the jungle like animals." "Numbers aren't everything," June said. "Strategy matters more, technology matters more." He took out a small device and pressed a button. A hologram appeared showing his ship. "This is Sumi's light," he said. "It has technology your people have never seen. With it, I helped end a war in the Lurai system without killing. I can help you too." Jisoo stared at the hologram. "One ship cannot defeat Tai's fleet." "Not alone," June agreed. "But if we're smart, we won't need to defeat his whole fleet. We just need to create enough trouble that he pulls ships away from the wormhole." Jisoo thought about this. "What do you propose?" "First, I'll teach your pilots how to fly better," June said. "Then we'll hit small targets, supply ships, communication relays. We'll make Tay think you're stronger than you are. He'll send ships to hunt you down. That will leave fewer at the wormhole." Jisoo nodded slowly. "It could work, but it will take time." "Then we should start now," June said. For the next month, June trained Jisoo's pilots. He showed them tricks he had learned on Earth and in the Lurai system. He taught them how to outfly bigger ships, how to use the sun to blind enemy sensors, how to communicate without being detected. Jisoo's rebels had 6 small fighters. They weren't as advanced as Sumi's light, but they were fast. June helped them make their ships faster and harder to detect. Then the raids began. June led the first one himself, attacking a supply ship heading for Tay's main base. They disabled its engines and took its cargo, food and medicine that Jisoo distributed to poor villages. The news spread quickly. People began to hope. More joined the rebels. Soon, Jisoo had 300 fighters instead of 50. Tay responded as June had predicted. He sent 10 warships to hunt down the rebels. That left only 10 guarding the wormhole. But then something unexpected happened. Tay unveiled a new weapon, a massive energy cannon that could destroy an entire city. He placed it on a moon orbiting Mech Prime. Then he sent a message to all planets. "Surrender the rebels," he said, "or I will destroy one city each day until you do." He fired the weapon at a small city on Mech 2. 10,000 people died in seconds. Jisoo was devastated. "We can't fight against that," she said. "We must surrender or more will die." But June had been studying the weapon's energy signature. "There's a flaw," he told Jisoo. "This weapon uses the same technology as my ship's engine, but Tai doesn't fully understand it. If we can get close enough, I might be able to overload it." "That's suicide," Jisoo said. "The weapon is surrounded by Tai's best ships." "Not all of them," June said. "Remember, 10 are hunting us. 10 are at the wormhole. That leaves only 5 protecting the weapon." Jisoo gathered her best pilots. Together with June, they made a plan. It was dangerous, but it was their only hope. The next day, all 6 rebel fighters attacked the ships guarding the wormhole. Tae, thinking this was a major assault, sent 5 more ships from the weapon to help. This was what June had been waiting for. While the rebels kept Tae's fleet busy at the wormhole, June flew Sumi's light straight toward the weapon. The journey was terrifying. Tae's remaining ships fired constantly at June. His ship took damage. Warning lights flashed on his control panel, but he kept going. When he reached the weapon, June sent a specific signal, the same frequency his ship's engine used. As he hoped, the weapon tried to absorb the energy, not recognizing it as dangerous. Then June overloaded his engine briefly. The surge of power flowed into the weapon. Alarms blared. The weapon began to glow bright white. June turned his ship and flew away as fast as possible. Behind him, the weapon exploded with the force of a small sun. The explosion took out 3 of Tae's ships that had been too close. When the people of the mech system saw Tae's superweapon destroyed, they rose up against him. City after city joined Jisoo's rebels. Tai's soldiers, seeing they were outnumbered, began to surrender. 3 days later, Jisoo's forces surrounded Tae's palace. The admiral tried to escape but was captured by his own guards. The mech system was free. In a ceremony on Mech Prime, Jisoo offered June command of the system. "You saved us," she said. "You should lead us." But June shook his head. "I'm not here to rule. I'm here to find my daughter. The people should choose their own leaders." Jisoo nodded. "Then let me help you as you helped us. The path to the wormhole is open now, but you should not go alone." She called forward 20 of her best pilots. "These volunteers will fly with you to Vosh. The collectors are dangerous. You will need friends at your side." June was moved by their offer. As he prepared to lead his small fleet through the wormhole, word spread throughout the system. The Earthman had freed them from a tyrant. His name became a symbol of hope. June didn't care about fame. He cared only about the next step in his journey. The Vosh system waited on the other side of the wormhole, and somewhere there, he hoped, was Sumi. June's ship danced between the stars. The 3 big alien ships tried to catch him, but Sumi's light was too fast, too small, too clever. "This is your final warning," the alien voice said through his computer. "Stop now, or we will fire." June did not stop. Instead, he flew even faster. When the aliens fired their weapons, he twisted his ship in ways they did not expect. The shots missed. For 2 hours, this chase went on. June began to understand how the alien ships moved. They were big and strong, but slow to turn. His small ship could spin and flip much faster. Finally, one of the alien ships sent a different message. "Unknown pilot, your skills are impressive. Perhaps we can talk instead of fight." June was careful. This could be a trick, but he also needed information about Sumi. "I will talk," he replied, "but from my ship. I will not come onto yours." The Chai aliens agreed. They sent coordinates for a meeting place, a small moon orbiting the system's 5th planet. June flew there, still ready to run if needed. When he arrived, only one alien ship was waiting. It was smaller than the others. As June watched, a signal came through with a face on his screen. The alien looked almost human, but with blue-tinted skin and large, dark eyes. No hair, no ears, but a mouth and nose in the right places. "I am Han Kyo, leader of the Free Lirai Coalition," the alien said. "You are not from any world we know. Where do you come from and why are you here?" June decided to be honest. "I am from Earth, a planet very far from here. I came because my daughter was taken. I have reason to believe she was brought to this star system." Kyo's large eyes blinked slowly. "Earth? We have heard stories of such a place from traders, but no Earth ship has ever come this far." Kyo paused. "Your daughter, was she taken by the collectors?" June's heart beat faster. "Yes. Do you know them? Do you know where they took her?" Kyo nodded. "The collectors trade in rare specimens from across the galaxy. They came to our system 6 moon cycles ago. They made deals with the High Command faction. Can you help me find them?" June asked. "Perhaps," Kyo said, "but our system is at war. 3 factions fight for control. The High Command has the central database where records of all ships entering and leaving our system are kept. If information about your daughter exists, it will be there." June understood the offer. Help Kyo win this war and Kyo would help find Sumi. "What do you need from me?" June asked. "Your ship moves like nothing we have seen," Kyo explained. "With your help we could win this war quickly and with less death. In return, I promise all my resources to help find your daughter." June didn't want to fight in an alien war. He just wanted to find Sumi. But this seemed like the fastest way. "I will help," June said, "but I will not kill unless I must. And if we find information about my daughter, finding her becomes our first goal." Kyo agreed. The deal was made. For the next 2 weeks, June worked with Kyo's forces. He learned about the 3 factions fighting for control of the Lirai system. The High Command was the old government. They ruled with strict laws and heavy taxes. They had made deals with the collectors, selling their own people for alien technology. The trade union wanted to open the system to more outside trade. They had money but few fighters. Kyo's Free Lirai Coalition wanted a government where people could vote for their leaders. They had many supporters but less technology than the others. June's ship made a big difference in the war. He could fly past enemy defenses without being seen. He could map their bases and ships without being caught. Sometimes he used his ship's advanced weapons to disable, but not destroy enemy ships. The people of Lirai were surprised by this. In their wars, enemies tried to kill each other, but June refused to take lives unless he had no choice. This made some of Kyo's fighters respect him. Others thought he was weak. After 3 major battles, Kyo's forces captured a high command base with access to the central database. June immediately began searching for information about Sumi. It took hours to understand the alien computer system, but finally, June found what he was looking for. "Here," he shouted to Kyo. "Records of the collector's ships. 3 months ago, they were here. They took 27 specimens from this system." He kept reading, his heart sinking, and they had a human with them already. Female, young. He looked at Kyo. "It must be Sumi. They took her and left." "Where did they go?" Kyo asked. June checked the records. "To the mech system, through something called the trade corridor." Kyo's face grew serious. "The mech system is dangerous. It is ruled by Admiral Tay, a cruel leader. The collectors often work with him." Just then alarms sounded throughout the base. On the screens they saw a massive fleet approaching. The High Command had gathered all their remaining ships for one final attack. "We cannot hold against so many," one of Kyo's officers said. June looked at the approaching fleet. There were 40 large warships. Far too many to fight. But maybe they didn't need to fight. "I have an idea," he said. "Let me take my ship out alone." Kyo was confused. What can one small ship do against 40? "Watch," June said with a small smile. June flew Sumi's light directly toward the enemy fleet. When they fired at him, he dodged easily. He flew circles around their biggest ship, the command vessel. The High Command ships tried to hit him, but their weapons were too slow. They began hitting each other by accident. Confusion spread through their fleet. Then June did something bold. He flew his ship right up to the windows of the command vessel. The aliens inside could see him. He opened a communication channel to all ships. "My name is June Kim of Earth," he announced. "I have no fight with you. I only want to find my daughter, who was taken by the collectors. Your leaders made deals with them, selling your own people. Is this who you want to follow?" The High Command tried to cut off his message, but June's technology was too advanced. Every ship in the fleet heard him. "Kyo's coalition wants to give you freedom," June continued. "The right to choose your leaders, the right to live without fear. I have fought alongside them, and they fight with honor." There was silence across all channels. Then, one by one, ships in the High Command fleet began powering down their weapons. 3 ships tried to fire on the ones surrendering. June quickly disabled their weapon systems. Within an hour, the entire High Command fleet had surrendered. The war was over. Kyo's coalition had won. In the days that followed, June helped Kyo set up a new government. The people of Larai would vote for their leaders. They would make their own laws. They would never again sell their people to the collectors. As promised, Kyo gave June everything he needed for his journey to the mech system: maps, supplies, information about Admiral Tay and his empire. "The people are calling you a hero," Kyo told June on his last day. "They say you brought freedom with one small ship and without bloodshed. This has never happened before." June shook his head. "I'm not a hero. I'm just a father looking for his daughter." "Perhaps," Kyo said. "But you have changed our system forever. We now send ships to all our trading partners telling them of Earth and of June Kim. If you ever need help, call on the Larai. We will come." As June prepared to leave, Kyo gave him one final gift: a small device. "This will hide your ship even better than your own technology," Kyo explained. "You will need it. In the mech system, Admiral Tay has eyes everywhere." June thanked Kyo and boarded his ship. As Sumi's light left the Larai system, 100 ships flew alongside as an honor guard. June set course for the mech system, determined and hopeful. He was one step closer to finding Sumi. He didn't realize that behind him, he was leaving a legend, the Earthman who conquered a star system without trying, the father who would cross the galaxy for his child. The alarms grew louder. June worked faster to free himself from the chair. With one hand now loose, he used Kyo's device to hack into the restraint system. The other restraints clicked open. June jumped to his feet, pulling the wires from his skin. Outside the room, he heard shouting and the sound of running feet. Something big was happening. Maybe his mech allies had returned with help? June looked around for a weapon but found nothing useful. He would have to rely on stealth and speed. He cracked open the door and peeked out. The corridor was empty. The collector guards had gone, probably to deal with whatever was causing the alarms. June slipped out and began moving quickly in the opposite direction of the sounds. He needed to find a computer terminal. If he could access the collector's network again, maybe he could find information about this director's domain and how to get there. After several tense minutes of sneaking through empty corridors, June found what he was looking for: a small room filled with screens and control panels. He entered and locked the door behind him. Using Kyo's device, he broke into the system again. This time, he searched specifically for Director's domain. The information was heavily protected, but June was determined. Bit by bit, he pieced together the truth. The Director's domain wasn't on any of the structures in the Vosh system. It was somewhere else entirely, a separate pocket of space hidden inside a nearby nebula. The files called it a self-contained dimension, created by technology far beyond even what the collectors had. And there, in that hidden place, was where they had taken Sumi. June found entry coordinates for the domain, but a warning came with them. Access restricted. Director's permission required for approach. Unauthorized vessels will be destroyed. He didn't care about the warning. He had to get to Sumi. June downloaded the coordinates into Kyo's device. Now he just needed to get back to his ship and escape this place. Suddenly, the door to the room slid open. Domi stood there, its mechanical eyes fixed on June. "I suspected you might free yourself," Domi said. "Your species is resourceful, June backed away, looking for another exit. There was none. I'm not going to let you process me, June said. I'm going to find my daughter. To his surprise, Domi held out a small object. Take this, it said. June hesitated, then carefully accepted the item. It was a small cube that glowed with a soft blue light. What is it? June asked. A genetic tracker, Domi explained. It will help you find your offspring in the director's domain. And this? Domi held out a second object, a small card. Will get you past the domain's outer defenses. June stared at Domi in confusion. Why are you helping me? Domi was quiet for a moment. When it spoke again, its voice sounded less mechanical, almost sad. The collectors have evolved for thousands of years, becoming more machine than living being. We thought this was progress. But in studying you, I've seen something we've lost. This connection you have to your offspring. It is powerful. It drove you across the stars. It made you brave against impossible odds. Domi gestured to the alarms, still blaring. Your mech allies returned with ships from the Lurai system. They are attacking our outer defenses as a distraction. Many of us think we should destroy them all, but I find myself wondering if there is more to existence than just collecting and processing. June didn't fully understand, but he knew an ally when he saw one. Thank you, he said. But how do I get back to my ship? Follow me, Domi said, but be quick. The others must not see us. Domi led June through back corridors to the hangar, where Sumi's light was held. 2 guards stood by the ship. Wait here, Domi said. It approached the guards and spoke to them. They nodded and left their posts. Go now, Domi told June. Your ship is ready. The main hangar doors will open in 30 seconds. That is all the time I can give you. Come with me, June offered. You don't have to stay here. Domi shook its head. My place is here. Something is changing among the collectors. The awakening we have feared for centuries, when our machines would gain true consciousness, is beginning. I must help guide my people through this change. June nodded and ran to his ship. As he powered up the engines, he saw Domi watching from the hangar entrance. Tell your offspring, Domi called, that she helped spark a revolution without knowing. Before June could ask what that meant, the hangar doors opened. He flew Sumi's light out into space. Outside, a battle was raging. Ships from Lurai and Mech were fighting the collector vessels. June recognized Kyo's flagship and Jisu's fighter. Leading the attack, June opened a communication channel. This is June Kim. I'm free and have the coordinates to find Sumi. Pull your forces back. June, Jisu's voice came through. We thought you were dead. Nearly was, June replied. But there's no time to explain. I need to go to these coordinates. Now, while the collectors are distracted, we'll cover you, Kyo said, and we'll hold position here until you return. June sent a quick thank you, then set course for the nebula according to the coordinates he'd found. Sumi's light shot away from the battle, heading for a dense cloud of gas and dust at the edge of the Vosh system. The journey to the nebula took only an hour. As June approached, his sensors detected nothing unusual at first, just swirling gas and newborn stars. Then he remembered the card Domi had given him. He placed it on his control panel. It glowed brightly for a moment, then went dark. Suddenly, the space in front of his ship seemed to tear open. A hole appeared in reality itself, a doorway to somewhere else. June took a deep breath and flew Sumi's light through the opening. Inside was a sight more amazing than anything he had seen in his journey. A vast structure floating in what looked like its own pocket of space. Stars that existed nowhere else surrounded it. The structure itself was beautiful, towers of crystal and light stretching for kilometers in all directions. As June approached, weapons locked onto his ship. A voice spoke through his communication system. Unauthorized vessel. You will be destroyed in 10 seconds. 9, 8. June quickly activated the genetic tracker Domi had given him. It projected a beam of blue light from his ship toward the structure. The countdown stopped. The weapons powered down. Genetic match found, the voice said. Proceed to main docking bay. June's heart raced. The tracker had found Sumi. She was alive. He guided his ship to a large opening in the side of the structure. Inside was a gleaming hangar unlike the dark mechanical one in the collector's base. This one was filled with light and seemed to be made of living crystal. As Sumi's light landed, June saw a figure waiting. For a moment he thought it might be Sumi, but as he exited his ship, he saw it was something else entirely. The being before him looked like a person made of pure energy contained within a body of translucent crystal. It glowed with a soft white light. "Welcome, June Kim of Earth," the being said. Its voice was neither male nor female, but somehow both at once. "I am the director." "Where is my daughter?" June asked, his voice steady despite his fear. "She is here and well," the director said. "She has been waiting for you." The director waved a hand and a door opened in the wall of the hangar. Through it stepped a young woman. "Dad?" she said. "Sumi." June ran to his daughter and wrapped her in his arms. She was real. She was alive. She was unchanged. Tears flowed down June's face as he held her. "I thought I'd lost you," he whispered. "I knew you'd come," Sumi said, hugging him back, just as tightly. "I told the director you would." June looked at his daughter in confusion. "You're not a prisoner?" Sumi shook her head. "Not anymore. At first, yes. The collectors took me. They were going to process me. But the director saved me and brought me here." "Why?" June asked, looking at the glowing being. "Because I have been watching your species for a very long time," the director said. "Human beings are unique in this part of the galaxy. You have something special, a combination of intelligence and emotion that most species lose as they evolve. Director gestured for them to follow. They walked through corridors of living crystal to a large room with windows looking out at the stars of this pocket universe. "I am the last of my kind," the director explained. "My civilization existed billions of years ago. We evolved too quickly. We lost what makes life worth living. I have spent eons searching for species that might avoid our fate." "And you think humans are special?" June asked. "I know you are," the director said. "Look at what you have done, June Kim. You crossed the stars for love of your child. Along the way you liberated the Lurai system, overthrew a tyrant in the mech system, and sparked an awakening among the collectors, all without intending to." The director turned to Sumi. "Your daughter has been learning here. I have taught her sciences your people will not discover for 1,000 years. Together the two of you can help prepare humanity for what is coming." "What is coming?" June asked. "A challenge all young species must face," the director said. "A test of whether you are ready to join the greater community of the galaxy." June looked at Sumi. She smiled at him. The same smile she had always had, but now with wisdom beyond her years in her eyes. "Dad," she said, "we can go home now, but we'll be going back to help prepare Earth for something amazing." June nodded, still trying to understand everything. But one thing was clear. His journey was not ending. It was just beginning. And this time, he and Sumi would face it together. The end. June led his small fleet toward the wormhole. 20 ships from the mech system followed Sumi's light. The pilots were brave, but June could tell they were scared. No one from their system had ever fought the collectors and lived to tell about, it. "Stay close," June told them through the communication system. "The wormhole will feel strange, but your ships can handle it." The wormhole looked like a tear in space. Stars bent around its edges. Light twisted and turned in ways that hurt. The eyes. June took a deep breath and flew his ship straight into it. The journey through the wormhole was like being pulled in all directions at once. June's stomach turned, his vision blurred. For a few seconds, he thought he might pass out. Then suddenly, it was over. Sumi's light emerged into the Vosh system. The other ships followed one by one. What they saw made them all freeze in amazement. The Vosh system wasn't like anything June had seen before. There was a star at the center, but it was dim and red, dying slowly. Around it floated enormous structures, Not planets, but artificial, constructions bigger than moons. Metal and glass glinted in the red light. Thousands of small ships moved between the structures like busy insects. "What is this place?" one of the mech pilots asked, voice filled with awe. "The home of the collectors," June replied. He checked his sensors. "Stay in formation. Turn on your stealth systems." The fleet moved forward slowly. Their stealth technology, enhanced by June, kept them hidden from the collectors' sensors. As they drew closer to the largest structure, June's computer began to pick up communications. The language was complex. His translator worked hard to make sense of it. Slowly, words began to appear on his screen. Specimen processing complete. Genetic extraction successful. Memories archived. Body disposed. June felt sick. These weren't just collectors of rare items. They were collectors of life itself, taking apart living beings piece by piece to study them. "We need to find their central database," June told his pilots. "It should be in the largest structure. Follow me, but keep your distance from each other. If one of us is spotted, the rest can still complete the mission." The fleet approached the massive central structure. It was shaped like a sphere with spikes extending outward in all directions. Each spike was as big as a city. The whole thing was at least the size of Earth's moon. June found what looked like a data transmission hub, a tower covered in antennas. He positioned Sumi's light nearby and began the difficult task of breaking into the collector's network. It took hours. The collector's computer systems were unlike anything June had seen before. But he was determined. Bit by bit, he worked, his way in using tricks he had learned as an engineer on Earth. Finally, he was in. Data flowed onto his screen, millions of records of specimens taken from thousands of worlds. June searched for any mention of humans, of Earth, of Sumi. "There," he whispered to himself. A file labeled Terra Specimen 7294H, female, adolescent. His hands shook as he opened it. There was Sumi's picture. Beside it, lines of text described her as a prime specimen with unusual neural patterns and genetic anomalies of interest. June read further. Sumi had been processed 3 months ago. Her genetic material was in storage. Her consciousness, data had been uploaded to something called the Central Archive. And her physical form June couldn't read anymore. Anger and grief overwhelmed him. Had he come all this way only to find that Sumi was gone, taken apart by these monsters? Then, he noticed something strange. The file had a note at the end. "Full specimen transferred to director's domain at special request. Reason, potential communication bridge with Terra civilization." Hope surged through June. Transferred meant Sumi might still be alive. Still, whole. But where was this director's domain? Before he could search further, alarms blared across his ship. His intrusion had been detected. On his screen, he saw collector ships moving toward him and his fleet. "We've been spotted," June called to his pilots. "Prepare to—" He didn't finish. A bright light enveloped Sumi's light. His controls went dead. His ship began to move without his input, pulled by some invisible force toward the central structure. "Go. Back," he shouted to the mech pilots. "Return to the wormhole. Tell Jisoo what happened." The mech ships tried to help, firing at the collector's vessels, but they were outnumbered. 3 were destroyed immediately. The rest turned and fled toward the wormhole, just as June had ordered. June's ship was pulled into a large opening in the central structure. When the pulling force released, he found himself in a huge hangar filled with ships of all shapes and sizes. Many looked damaged or half dismantled. Armed figures surrounded his ship. They weren't like any aliens June had seen before. They seemed to be part living and part machine, with metal parts attached to their bodies and glowing eyes that didn't look natural. "Exit your vessel," a voice commanded through his ship's speakers. June knew he had no choice. He couldn't fight them all, but maybe if he cooperated, he could learn more about this director's domain and find Sumi. He stepped out of his ship with his hands raised. The collector guards surrounded him and marched him through long corridors that seemed to go on forever. Finally, they reached a room filled with strange equipment. In the center was something like a chair, but with restraints and wires hanging from it. "Sit," one of the guards ordered. June sat. Immediately, the restraints closed around his arms and legs. The wires attached themselves to his head and neck. Pain shot through him as needles pierced his skin. A new figure entered the room. Unlike the guards, this one seemed more machine than living. Only a small part of its face looked like it had once been flesh. "I am Domi, overseer of specimen processing," it said. "You are the first Terra specimen to come to us voluntarily. This is most unusual." "I didn't come voluntarily," June said through gritted teeth. "You took my daughter. I came to get her back." Domi's mechanical eyes widened slightly. "Daughter? How you refer to genetic offspring. Interesting, we do not maintain such bonds after ascension." "Where is she?" June demanded. "Your records say she was transferred to the director's domain." "So you accessed our network," Domi said. "Impressive for a primitive species." "Yes, Terra specimen 7294H was transferred. The director has special interest in your kind." "Who is the director? Where can I find him?" Domi made a sound like metal grinding against metal. It took June a moment to realize it was laughing. The director is not a him. The director is beyond such simple concepts. "And you cannot find the director. The director finds you if it wishes." June struggled against his restraints. "Please, I've come across half the galaxy. I just want my daughter back." Domi tilted its head, studying June. "This connection you feel to your offspring, it is strong enough to make you travel so far? To risk your life to invade our domain?" "Yes," June said simply. "She's my daughter. I would do anything for her." "Fascinating," Domi said. "We collectors have evolved beyond such attachments. We see them as weaknesses. But perhaps there is something we have lost in our ascension." Domi moved closer, examining June with its glowing eyes. "I will study you before processing begins. This bond you speak of, it may be worth preserving in our archives." "I don't want to be studied," June said. "I want to find Sumi." "You will be processed like all specimens," Domi said. "But because of your unique journey, I will request that your consciousness data be sent to the director's domain. Perhaps you will find what you seek there, in a manner of speaking." With that, Domi left the room. June was alone, strapped to the chair, surrounded by machines that would take him apart piece by piece. But June Kim had not come this far to give up. As soon as Domi left, he began working on the restraints. Years of fixing complex machinery on Earth had taught him to understand how things worked, how they could be broken. And he had one advantage the collectors didn't know about. In his pocket was a small device Kyo had given him. A universal tool that could interface with most technology. If he could just reach it, if he could just break free, he might still find Sumi. As June worked, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. The lights flickered. The restraints loosened for just a second, long enough for June to get one hand free and grab Kyo's device. Something was happening, something big, and somewhere in this massive structure, or beyond it, Sumi was waiting.